So today we will be looking at the newest film from Disney about a fairy tale creature coming into our world starring a famous redhead. No, not that one. Now, no spoilers, I promise, but there is a scene in this movie that takes place in Boston with a bunch of news anchors talking about the Boston Bruins. So naturally, I gotta wear my Vancouver jersey. But regardless of that, my name is Brandon, aka the BrandoCritic, and on this channel, it's my job to point you in the direction of movies worth checking out. So if that interests you, make sure you hit like and subscribe. It's the best way to show your support for the channel. And I just recently partnered with Movie Scene Canada, so make sure you check them out as well for the latest news, reviews, contests, and trailer reactions. But today I'm here to tell you whether or not Godmothered, yes, not Enchanted, Godmothered, is worth a watch today. So, on Disney Plus, we have Godmothered, and yes, I've made the joke already, but this is very similar to Enchanted. It definitely takes a couple pages out of Enchanted's book. We have Jillian Bell playing the fairy godmother in training, and she gets transported into our world, and there's all that fish out of water humor. And then we got Isla Fisher's character, who's living in a bit of a broken family, and she's basically lost hope, right? She wrote this letter when she was 15 to the fairy godmother, and she's shown up about 15 or 25 years too late. So you can already tell what kind of movie this is going to be. And while there's nothing really terrible in this movie, right? It's not a bad movie by any means, but there's nothing really particularly good in it either. Now, I will admit that Jillian Bell does the best with the material that she's given, and she's obviously the standout performer in the movie, and she does a pretty good job, right? I liked her character on screen. Everyone else was just very serviceable, right? They weren't bad, they weren't great. They did their job in the movie. Nothing terrible, but there were no real standouts. Jillian Bell is the standout in this movie. But my biggest issue with this movie is that while sure, you know exactly what this movie is going to be, it's a very cookie cutter plot. Fairy godmother coming into our world, you know exactly how this movie is going to end. But to me, that's not really a big problem if they make it funny, if they make it interesting, if they make it unique, if they put a new coat of paint on it. This one didn't really. And the biggest problem with that is that the humor, especially the fish out of water humor, it felt very, very forced. There were a couple times I laughed in the movie. I will admit I wasn't silent throughout the entire thing, but I do feel like most of the humor came from Jillian Bell's performance, right? She elevated the material. The humor, it's not really existent in this movie. Because you think about it, okay, we're getting this fairy godmother and they're coming into our world. What are the jokes, right? She's gonna see a truck, think it's a pumpkin. So we have to endure that through a plot where we know exactly what's going to happen. Now, there is some magic in the movie, right? She is a fairy godmother, so she does wave her wand and some magic happens. And it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's cute, right, for the kids. But again, nothing really spectacular. And just like Frozen, I can't hate on this movie too much because of the message it is portraying to families and younger children, is that fairy tales and happily ever after, you know, the definition needs to be updated. It needs to change. You know, it's no longer just finding your princess in a castle or finding your prince and knight in shining armor. Instead, true love and happily ever after can be between anybody. It can be with yourself, right? Self-love, family love, friendship. It can be all these different things, which sure is a great message, even though we saw it in Frozen. And this is definitely not subtle about it. This is basically a sledgehammer just hammering the message in. So it's not subtle. It has its heart in the right place, but it's not subtle whatsoever. So all in all, I'm gonna give the movie a 2 out of 5 because again, nothing was terrible in this movie. It was just an okay watch. I feel like I would enjoy this movie more if I were to show my daughters that don't exist, right? And they were able to get involved in the magic and the message and, you know, some of the wacky hijinks that happen because of course, I know what these movies are doing and I see the jokes coming, but from a newcomer, you know, who knows? But as for me and most other adults, we've seen this movie before. We've seen this message before. It's not terrible, but it's not really great either. But what about you guys? Are you excited to see Godmothered on Disney Plus? Let me know down in the comment section down below. And if you're new here and you want to see more content just like this one, then definitely hit like and subscribe. It's the best way to show your support for the channel, so thank you so much in advance, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.